Once upon a time, in a kingdom bathed in shimmering light and filled with laughter, a king and queen welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby princess. They named her Aurelia, which means golden, for she was as precious to them as all the gold in their treasury. The entire kingdom rejoiced. To celebrate this wonderful day, the king and queen decided to host the grandest christening the world had ever seen. They invited everyone from far and wide, nobles, merchants, and common folk alike. Most importantly, they invited the 7 good fairies of the realm to be the baby's godmothers. Each fairy was to bestow a magical gift upon the little princess. The day of the christening arrived, and the castle halls were filled with music and joy. One by one, the fairies stepped forward. The first fairy gifted the princess unparalleled beauty. The second, the voice of a songbird. The third, grace in every movement. The fourth, the gift of dancing as light as a feather. The fifth, the ability to play any instrument masterfully. And the sixth, a heart full of kindness and wisdom. But just as the 7th fairy was about to present her gift, the great doors of the hall burst open with a crash of thunder. A chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and silencing the music. In the doorway stood an old, grim-faced fairy who had not been invited. This was Maleficent, a fairy whose heart had grown bitter and cold from years of isolation. She had been forgotten, and her rage was terrible to behold. Stalking towards the cradle, Maleficent's eyes gleamed with malice. The king and queen pleaded with her, but she would not be swayed. "You didn't invite me, did you?" she hissed. "Well, I have a gift for the princess, too." She raised a bony finger and pointed it at the sleeping baby. On her 16th birthday, the princess shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel, and she will die. A collective gasp of horror echoed through the hall. The king begged, the queen wept, but Maleficent only laughed, a cruel, cackling sound that filled the air before she vanished in a puff of black and green smoke. The hall was left in stunned silence. But then, the 7th good fairy, who had wisely held back her gift, stepped forward. "Do not despair, your majesties," she said, her voice a beacon of hope. "I cannot completely undo this wicked curse, for Maleficent's power is great. But I can alter it." She waved her wand over Princess Aurelia's cradle, a shower of silver sparks falling gently upon the baby. "The princess shall not die. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years. She will only be awakened by true love's kiss." Though relieved that their daughter would be spared, the king and queen were still terrified. To protect Aurelia, the king immediately issued a decree. Every spinning wheel in the entire kingdom was to be gathered and burned. The penalty for owning one was death. For years, the kingdom lived in cautious peace. Princess Aurelia grew up, embodying all the gifts the good fairies had given her. She was beautiful, kind, and loved by everyone. But as her 16th birthday approached, a sense of unease settled over the castle. On the morning of her 16th birthday, the castle was bustling with preparations for a grand celebration. Feeling curious and a little restless, Princess Aurelia decided to explore the parts of the castle she had never seen before. She climbed a winding staircase up to a forgotten tower. At the very top, in a small, dusty room, she found an old woman sitting at a strange contraption, pulling and twisting thread. "What are you doing?" the princess asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. She had never seen a spinning wheel before. The old woman, who was none other than Maleficent in disguise, smiled a wicked smile. "I'm spinning, my dear. Would you like to try?" Fascinated, Aurelia reached out. As her finger touched the sharp point of the spindle, the curse was fulfilled. A sharp pain shot through her hand, and she collapsed to the floor, falling into a death-like slumber. At that very moment, the entire castle fell under the same spell. The king and queen slept on their thrones, the cooks in the kitchen, the guards at their posts. Even the fires and the hearths and the water in the fountains stood still. A thick, impenetrable forest of thorns grew up around the castle, hiding it from the outside world. 100 years passed. The story of the sleeping princess became a legend, a tale told to children by the fireside. Many brave princes and knights tried to break through the enchanted forest, but the thorns were too thick, too magical. They were all forced to turn back, defeated. Then, one day, a young, handsome prince from a neighboring kingdom heard the story. He was filled with a sense of destiny and an unexplainable longing to see this sleeping princess. He rode to the edge of the cursed forest, drew his sword, and prepared to fight his way through. But as he approached, something miraculous happened. The thorny branches, as if recognizing his pure heart and noble intent, parted before him, creating a clear path to the castle. The prince walked through the silent halls, a living man in a world frozen in time. He saw the sleeping court, the untouched banquet, the spider's webs that draped everything like silver shrouds. Finally, he found the tower and the room where Princess Aurelia lay. She was so beautiful, she looked as if she were merely dreaming. Overcome with emotion, he knelt beside her and gently kissed her lips. At his touch, the magic of the kiss broke the century-long curse. Princess Aurelia's eyes fluttered open. She looked up at the prince, and as their eyes met, they fell instantly in love. At that same moment, the entire kingdom awoke. The king and queen, the servants, the horse-chaise, everyone and everything came back to life, resuming what they were doing as if only a second had passed. The kingdom was filled with joy and celebration once more. The prince and princess were soon married, and they ruled the kingdom with kindness and wisdom, living happily ever after.